You are carrying dead weight up a mountain and calling it luggage. Some of it is a project you started 2 years ago that you keep half funding with your attention. Some of it is a skill you learned once and now defend like it's part of your spine. You think you're being loyal, disciplined, committed. You're mostly just holding on. By the end of this, you'll see the exact mental glitch that makes you cling to things you'd never choose again. And you'll know how to put them down. Here's the experiment that cracks it open. Researchers handed out coffee mugs to half a room. Then they let people trade. The ones holding a mug demanded around twice as much money to sell it as the ones without a mug were willing to pay to get one. Same mug, same room. The only thing that changed was a hand wrapped around the handle for 5 minutes. Ownership didn't reveal value. It manufactured it. That's the endowment effect. And once you see it, you can't unsee it in your own life. The moment something becomes yours, your brain quietly inflates the price tag. Your half-built app, your old gym routine, the business idea you've defended at 3 different dinners, the story about yourself you wrote at 19 and never edited. And the reason this matters more for you than for almost anyone is simple. You're trying to build a life from scratch, on your own terms, which means your entire edge depends on one thing: how fast and how honestly you can swap what you have for what actually works. So why does the brain do this? It runs on loss aversion. Losing something registers as roughly twice as painful as gaining the same thing. Feels good. Your mind treats giving up the mug as a wound, and giving up your stalled project as a small death. So you keep it. You keep all of it. You become a museum of past decisions, curating versions of yourself nobody bought a ticket to see. Picture your phone for a second. The 40 browser tabs. The fitness app you opened twice. The course you're 70% through and will finish the same week pigs file taxes. Each one felt like a good idea the day you grabbed it. None of them are free. They charge rent and attention, and you keep paying because closing the tab feels like admitting the click was a mistake. That's the real trap. The cost is everything you can't pick up because your hands are full. Think about what that does to your choices. Every hour spent propping up a dying project is an hour stolen from the one that could actually move. Every skill you over-defend is a skill you stop questioning, which means you stop improving it. The endowment effect quietly freezes your standards at the exact level they were when you first grabbed something. There's a sharper version of this with things you built yourself. Economists ran a study where people folded origami, paper frogs, and cranes badly. Then they asked them to price their own lopsided creations. The folders valued their crumpled frogs as highly as expert work, while everyone else saw scrap paper. The sweat you pour into a thing becomes part of how you price it, which is why your worst project is often the one you'll defend hardest. You're not pricing the project, you're pricing the 4 months of your weekends buried inside it. This is the part nobody warns you about when they tell you to follow your passion. Effort is supposed to be the proof that something matters. Instead, it becomes a reason to never let go, even when the thing it's attached to went stale a year ago. The harder you worked, the heavier the bag, and the more it cost you to set down. Now flip it around, because here's where it gets useful. The most dangerous version of this bias has nothing to do with mugs or frogs or apps. It's the version pointed at yourself. You own an identity. I'm a designer. I'm just bad at numbers. I'm the disciplined one. I'm terrible at sales. You picked these up somewhere, often before you could legally drink, and now you defend them with the same irrational premium as that coffee mug. Someone offers you evidence that you could be different, and you negotiate them down. You'd rather keep the cracked old identity than trade up for one that costs the discomfort of being a beginner again. There's a way to test whether you're holding something out of value or out of habit, and it lands harder when you write the answer down instead of letting it float around your skull. I keep a single prompt open and ponder for this. It's stoic reflection questions, pin you to one thing at a time, link in the description. Because ink on a screen is harder to dodge than a passing thought. One question, and it's brutal. Ready? If you didn't already own this, the project, the skill, the belief, the routine, the relationship, would you go out and acquire it today, at today's price, knowing what you know now? Sit in that for a moment. The half-finished product you've sunk 4 months into. If it were brand new on the table this morning, would you start it? The morning routine you white-knuckle through, would you design it again, or did you just inherit it from a video you watched in 2021? The friend who drains you every time you hang up, would you choose that, fresh, today? This question prices things at market value instead of the inflated, it's mine value. The answers will sting, because a lot of what you're carrying fails the test on contact. Let me steelman the other side, because there's a real objection here. Someone smart would say, constantly dropping things is just a fancy name for quitting. Commitment is the whole game. The people who win are the ones who stayed when it got boring, who kept showing up after the dopamine left. And they're right. Half of all success is just refusing to bail at the first plateau. But that's exactly why this distinction is worth your life. Quitting from the endowment effect and quitting from clear eyes look identical from the outside and feel opposite on the inside. The skill is learning to tell them apart. You stay because the thing still passes the question. You'd choose it again today. You leave because it only survived on the discount of already owning it. Loyalty to a future you want, instead of loyalty to a purchase you already made. Watch how this plays out with money, since that's where it's cleanest. You buy a stock, a coin, a tool, a piece of gear. It drops. Suddenly, you freeze, because selling means locking in the loss, and the loss feels like a wound. So you hold a bad position for years, hoping it climbs back to what you paid. The market has no idea what you paid. Your purchase price is a fact about your past, useless for deciding your future. Yet, you let it run your hands. Your skills work the same way. You spent 2 years getting good at a thing, editing a certain way, coding in a certain stack, running a certain kind of content. The world shifts. The thing matters less now, and you feel that drop like a falling stock. So you keep doubling down on the dying skill, instead of paying the small tuition to learn the live one. You're clutching a depreciating asset because selling it would mean admitting it peaked. There's a quiet upside hiding in all of this, and it's the thing most people miss while they're busy clinging. The same bias that traps you can be aimed forward. The instant you actually start something new, write the first ugly draft, ship the broken version, take the first client at the wrong price, it becomes yours, and your brain starts overvaluing it in your favor. Ownership pulls effort toward whatever you've already touched. So, touch the right things early. Plant your hands on the future you want before your old inventory eats your whole week. The builders who compound over a decade have a strange quality. They hold their own work loosely. They'll torch a feature they spent a month on without a funeral. They'll abandon an identity that won them praise the second it stops being true. They treat everything they own as rented on a lease that's always up for review. This sounds cold. In practice, it's the opposite. When you stop overvaluing what you already have, you stop being afraid of losing it. And that fear was the thing quietly running your life. The grip was never strength. It was anxiety wearing a costume. So here's what to actually do. And it's smaller than you think. You don't need to burn your life down this weekend. You need one honest audit. Take the 3 biggest things you're pouring yourself into right now. A project, a skill, a belief about who you are. Hold each one up and ask the question, knowing everything I know today, would I acquire this fresh at full price? Not, Did it once make sense? Not, have I spent a lot on it already? Would I choose it now? Whatever fails, you don't have to execute on the spot. Just stop pretending it's worth what you've been charging yourself to keep it. Demote it. Pull your attention off it slowly and watch where that attention wants to go. It'll drift toward what actually passes the test. Because attention is honest even when you aren't. And do this on a clock. Once a season, run the audit again, because you change faster than your inventory does. The version of you reading this will own different things in a year, and some of what's gold today will be a coffee mug you're charging too much for. The whole skill is being willing to sell yourself out of your own past at a fair price. The mug study has a quiet punchline most people miss. The people who refused to trade were protecting a feeling, the small warmth of "this is mine." That feeling is real, and it's also the most expensive thing you own because it taxes every future you could have walked into. You started something once and called it commitment. Look again. Half of it is just a hand that forgot how to open. So open it, run the question on everything you're white-knuckling. Keep what you'd choose twice. Let the rest go back on the table where it belongs, and watch how light your hands get when they're finally free to grab what's next. You don't own your old self. You're renting it, month to month, and the lease just came up for review.